ahead and hop straight into it. Um, Today was definitely a wild day, pretty slow day. I'm gonna go ahead and give the spoiler alert now. I did take two opportunities today. Both of them came right. One came at the end of my session. One came like 11:30. Today I'm off work, so I made the executive decision that I was going to take that second trade, and I mean we did finish with profit for the day. So let me go through the market. Um, Structure everything that happened today, and hey, you guys will see exactly what happened. So, first things first, we here on the 3 hour. So, we let every time frame stand on its own 2 feet now. That's one thing I've just noticed and understood. I'm not using the 1 hour to identify 3 hour. No, like I'm letting every time frame stand on its own 2 feet. So here we see the 3 hour came, formed this new high, pulled back, wicked above, couldn't break, then started shooting down, which we kind of expected because the 3 hour just broke to the upside. It's due for a pullback. So price is now trending to the downside. So what I want to do next, go ahead and go down to the 1 hour and see what structure looks like there. So I don't remember really where we left off yesterday. I think it was somewhere within here. But what we're going to do is just find the last bit of clear structure we can identify. So the last bit of clear structure I can identify comes here. With this low was broken right here, push to the downside, so price pulled back to here, or maybe this was the high, and then price broke to the downside here. All right. So from here, what I see is, okay, price from here, pulled back up to here, and it's broken this here, but we don't know if it's high probability yet. So we'll pull back here, and we see that it's broken here. We don't know if it's high probability. We'll just draw it at the current low. So now we see that price impulse to the downside, created a new low, and it could still be pushing to the downside as well. So we want to go to the 10 minute and focus on this down push. Now we got here at about 7:30 like normal. So we can go back to the 1 hour a little bit, and we see the 1 hour did push below this break. So it broke here, gave a push below. Perfect. So now we understand that this is a high probability 1 hour zone. I want to go ahead and draw this up. 1 hour, pull it to the downside, pull it back to 50%, which falls right around this candle. Perfect. Now it could still keep pushing, we just don't know yet. So let's go ahead and go to the 10 minute and now see what's going on here. So we're focused on this downside push. On the 10 minute, the last clear part of point of structure is going to be here. Everything else is just wicks and stuff. This is the only clear point that I see price pull to here, having a high here on the 10 minute, and pull down to here, creating a low on the 10 minute. So with this, I see that price pulled back, wicked, and it finally broke here on the 10 minute as well. It broke here, pushed below, continued pushing. So it has the same low as the 1 hour, but that does make this a high probability zone as well. So we don't have to have the low here because we understand the 1 hour low matches the 10 minute low. And now we're going to go ahead and draw our zone on. All right. Pull it to the downside. Measure out 50. It's about right there. It's a lot of mess that went on in here, so we just pull it straight to the 50. It's no real clear structural integrity or anything within here. So now we can go to the 5 minute. We see price push to the downside. It could still be pushing on the 10 minute because it hasn't solidified a low. And let's focus on this downside push and see what we have on the 5 minute. So on the 5 minute, the last clear low, I would just identify it here, or actually we could go here. So price had a high here, pull back. This was the low. Price didn't break. It pulled back to this point here. See it pull back here. And then it finally broke this low right here and pulled back. Now that was low probability. Why? Because it broke here, gave one candle, this one candle, and never broke past it. It immediately retraced. So price pulled back to here, created a new high, and then push to the downside, begin to retrace. Yep, so begin to retrace. And it hasn't broken below that yet. So now we can go to the 2-minute to see if there's anything in between the structure. So prices impulse to the downside, and it looks like it's attempting to start a retracement. We'll just have to see. Now let's focus on the 2-minute structure. So 2-minute structure was here. Pull back, it broke there. So this would have been the high, this would have been the low. Pull back, it broke here, but it's low probability. Broke to the upside, low probability. Broke to the downside, low probability again. So all the 2-minute structure is low probability. So we really don't even need to be focused on it. We're just going to focus on the 5-minute because all the 2-minute structure is of low probability. So now let's just see what we get throughout this session. So price still cannot break that high. We're going to go to the 10-minute, see 10-minute is pushed down some more, aka the 1 hour. And let's see what else happens. And we'll identify this as the 10-minute because we really don't use the 1 hour to trade. So we'll identify it as 10-minute, makes it easier to keep up with. So we see that price is still here. It hasn't broken below yet. We can zoom in and see price has space between here. It has not broken yet. Now we can go to the 2-minute again to see, but everything is still low probability. Remember, it made a low probability push here, pull back, another low probability break to the downside. This is technically the high of it right here, the 2-minute high. So we can draw this 2-minute high on because if it does provide something, we can enter. So let's see what we get. Boom, we get one nice push. Let's see if we get a second push beyond it. We don't get a push beyond it yet. It has to close above this wick. So let's get another one. Nope, it immediately retraces. So what we'll do is we'll just identify this high so we know it's there and go back to the 5-minute. Really, we don't even need that high. We'll just focus on the 5-minute. So 5-minute cannot break out of this for nothing. Like to save its life, it cannot break out of this. So let's see what happens. Oh, 5-minute has finally broke out to the upside. That now means this low, the 10-minute low, is the same low as the 5-minute. So we can get rid of this one. And let's see if we get a second candle push. We do. So now we can draw a high probability zone down here for the 5-minute. And this high, oh, my fault. And now this high just pulls into here. So let's see if it starts to retrace or continues pushing. Cool. So now it starts to retrace. So let's see what's going on. Boom. It immediately breaks again. Let's see if we get a second candle push. Perfect. We do get a second candle push. Now the thing is, it's within a 10-minute demand zone. So this makes this low probability, even though it is a high probability setup technically, because it's in a higher zone. Like if it was in a 5-minute zone, then we would have just rolled with whatever was there. But this is in a 10-minute zone, and this is 5-minute structure, so it's still low probability, even though technically it's high probability. So now we can go to the 2-minute. 2-minute high probability as well to the upside, but again, it's within this 10-minute zone. We're only looking for sell opportunities at this point on these lower time frames. So let's get the next candle. Perfect. So price broke this 10-minute zone. So now we can get rid of this 10-minute zone, right? And now we can identify the 5-minute as high probability, because now that that 10-minute zone is no longer in play, we can identify high probability for what it is. So now we got two high probability 5 minute zones sitting right within each other. Let's see what's going to happen. Let's see if now we do still have this up here, so I wouldn't be surprised to get something sell wise. So let's see what's going to happen. Boom. News hit at 8:30. It was PPI, something like that. Yeah. It hit right at 8:30. Pushed straight through this zone, got rid of this one, and changed price to downtrending now. So now let's see if we get a second candle push and if this sell opportunity is high probability. Boom. We get a second candle push through this zone as well. So that now makes this the 5 minute low for right now. And now we can identify this as the zone because that was the last place that it was broken. 5 minute. All right. So we are encountering this 1 hour demand zone down here. So let's see if price pushes into it. On the forward button not working. There we go. So it keeps pushing, keeps pushing, keeps pushing, keeps pushing, keeps pushing. Let's see if it's gonna break through. Boom. Now it starts a bit of a retrace. So at this point, so at this point, price is downtrending, and one move that we're looking for is a sell move if price pushes to this 5 minute and pushes off. But a second move we can look for is a buy opportunity within this 1 hour demand. So we know the 10 minute is bearish, so there's no move on the 10 minute to get in here. We know the 5 minute is bearish, so there's no move on the 5 minute to get in here. But this is a brand new zone of opportunity. So guess what we can do? We can go to the 2 minute because technically all the buy opportunities off of this zone are low probability because the 10 minute structure is downtrending, the 5 minute structure is downtrending. And even now, we see this was the low, price broke here, and it's low probability. So even the 2 minute for the moment is low probability. So at this point, all we're waiting to see is if price breaks this 2 minute structure and gives us a high probability zone, we can look to enter. And the reason we can do that is because it's coming off of a high time frame probability zone, and there's no 10 minute or 5 minute structure to give us entry off this 1 hour. So we can look to ride this 2 minute up to the upside if it allows. So let's just go through price, see if it ever breaks. It wicks above here. Let's see, does it break? Boom, so it breaks above here, but not high probability. So all we do here is identify the high. So wick, wick, wick. And now we just wait because this is low probability. So we either got to see it break to the downside or break to the upside again. So to fast forward, basically the entirety of our session, nothing happened until the end. Till the end, we got a break of the 2 minute. Let's see if we get the second push. We got a second push. So that means we can now identify this zone as a high probability entry zone for the 2 minute. So let's see where the 2 minute high solidifies itself. Solidifies itself right here. But we don't even have to draw this one because we already have one. And now I just have to check my zone. And so we're just going to slide it down just a tiny bit, just to match the 50. But it was close enough anyway. So let's see what happens now. Boom. So we get a test right here, right before our session ends. Now we're just looking for confirmation candles. No confirmation, no confirmation, no confirmation. Boom. We get a nice confirmation candle here. Look to enter above slightly. We'll do about I think we did like 8.5. So we're just going to pretend that it's 8.5. So 8.5, 9.5, that's 19.5 as far as what we're looking for. So that's about 14.6 for the partial. 19.5. So let's see if we get entered. Boom. We are wicked into this trade, entered in. So what I would tell you guys is typically, for those of you who follow, normally what I do is manage on a time frame lower. But as of recent, when I get in on 2 minute trades, I've just been managing them on the 2 minute. And that has been wrong for me. I think because price has been so stagnant that it's allowed me to be able to do that. But today, on this very first trade, I learned a very valuable lesson. I always need to go down the time frame to manage my trade. So if I'm in a 2 minute trade, I need to manage on the 1 minute. If I'm in a 5 minute trade, I need to manage on the 2 minute. If I'm in a 10 minute trade, I need to manage on the 10 minute. If I'm in a 10 minute trade, I need to manage on the 5 minute. Because essentially that is what's going to give me that internal structure that's going to allow me to protect myself. So I'm going to let you guys know what happened on the first trade and show you. And then I'm going to let you know what I did. So what should have happened on this trade is, okay, we seen an upside push, we seen a pullback. We should have went straight to the 1 minute, said, okay, we got an impulse to the upside. We got a high on the 1 minute. Perfect. Let's see if this 1 minute gets broken. And we can manage between the two, like, right? We see that highs there. Let's see if it's broken. Boom. Let's go here and then back. So it fixes itself. Perfect. We see it's broken. So guess what we could do now? Now we could draw this zone here to protect ourselves. Now I did draw this zone here to protect myself. And I'm gonna be real, it was just my greed that got to me. Because the truth is, I actually did start managing it from the 1 minute. I seen this high here, I pulled it down, and I seen this here. So now I'm gonna show you what happened to where I psyched myself out. So for me, I think I had this a little bit lower. But what happened for me was the 2 minute did not break the partial zone. The 1 minute had broke the partial zone. And then I seen the 1 minute close below. But because the 2 minute hadn't closed below, I convinced myself that, hey, I typically manage it on the 2 minute and don't use the 1 minute. So let me change this 1 minute zone to a 2 minute and just be patient because I know a win is coming. And that's where I messed up. The minute I told myself and felt that I knew a win was coming, the minute I told myself and knew that a win was coming, that's when I got messed up. So I basically ignored what the 1 minute did because for those of you who follow and watch a lot of the videos, you know my rule is once it breaks and closes above here, if it closes below here, I immediately exit. So I'm deep in profit. It closed below here. I didn't exit. I convinced myself, hey, a win is coming. I just have to be patient. Let me watch it from the 2 minute because that's what I always do. And then let's see what happened. It went all the way down, broke my zone. There was no going back to the 2 minute. So we exited this trade for a small loss once it broke and closed here. And after this, I was basically like, okay, I'm gonna wrap this session up for the day. Um, I learned a valuable lesson. I haven't had to use the 1 minute to manage 2 minute trades in a while. But like I said, now that price is finally broke, you got to understand for a whole month, price was technically consolidating on the higher time frames. So now that price is finally broken out of that consolidation, certain things about my strategy that I haven't had to use in the last month are going to start coming into play, and I'm going to have to just learn those lessons and adjust. So with this one, I just learned the lesson of follow my strategy to a T. Make good business decisions. I knew internally, and I felt it in my gut that I should have exited when the 1 minute closed. But I convinced myself I knew it was a winner. And guess what I did? I stayed in and ended up letting what would have been a nice win. Yeah, I wouldn't have got a full win, but it would have been a nice win. I let it turn into a small loss, and I really didn't have to. Now, the good thing is I let it only turn to a small loss instead of a full loss. I'm not undisciplined to the point where I was going to let this go all the way to my stop loss. Once it broke this zone that I put here to protect myself, I was out. So then I got out of this trade, and I was playing my game a little bit. That's typically what I do. If I'm still in a session and I'm playing my game and my session's over, I'll finish whatever game I'm in first. Then I'll make this video for you guys and close my computer. But something interesting can happen. So, like you guys know, I always take 2 chances on trades on a zone. So this zone tested here this first time. So I just went ahead and pulled it down, just playing around for shits and giggles, and said, hey, I'm off. If price pulls down to this zone, I will look for a second entry potentially. Because I only took 1 trade today. The market really hadn't shown anything. And right at the end of my session, it starts showing um, beautiful setups. So I was definitely a little frustrated by this move because I knew internally the right thing to do. I just didn't do it. So I was thinking about that in my head. So look what happened. Price pushes deeper into this zone and gives me a confirmation to enter. So I was weighing out my business decisions. I said, should I do it? Should I not? It's past my session, but I have only took 1 trade. And I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm making the executive decision that I'm off today. I have extra time. I'm going to give myself till 12 o'clock to trade. I hadn't seen anything my whole session. Right at the end of my session, I've seen things. I'm going to extend my session by 1 hour just for this day only. And so I decided I am going to take this trade. So I got in a little bit higher, about 7 pip stop loss, and that would have been 16.5 as far as the TP. So let's go ahead and draw on our 75% level. So that's 16.5 times 0.75. That's 12.37. So we'll just go 12.4. We'll go 12.3. Because again, we want to be smart about it. Growth over greed is always, that's one of my quotes that I always say and write down. Growth over greed. Anytime I'm in a situation where I'm like, should I be patient? Should I wait? Should I see if it's going to give me more money? I always remind myself, growth over greed. My job is to grow my account, to grow my trading business, because your trading account is a business of itself. Your trading account is your business. So my goal is to grow my business, not to be greedy with my business. When you get greedy, that's how you lose your business. When you're just looking to grow it little by little, take step by step, that's what's going to get you to that point where you have everything you wanted. So this is my partial. So again, this is after my session. I understood that, but I said, you know what? I'm going to take a shot and I'm going to implement the new rule I just learned or was reminded of by the market, that I need to manage my trades on a time frame lower than I entered them. So let's look. I got entered into this trade. Price pushed. And then when it pushed further in, I said, I'm going straight to the 1 minute. So that's what I did. I went to the 1 minute. Let's see what the 1 minute did. 1 minute started a pullback here. So I drew my little line here. 1 minute. And let's see if we get a pullback. Price immediately broke. Gave me a second candle push. So guess what? Now I can identify this very small pullback as a 1 minute zone to protect myself. So now I know for sure that this second trade I am taking is going to be a winner because, well, we're going to ignore for the fact that right now it's in the partial area. But as of right now, even if price were to pull down to my zone and break it and close, it would stop me out in profit somewhere. But price has now pushed into my partial area. So now I'm not making the same mistake I made the first time. Here I am saying if price pushes down and breaks out of this partial zone, I am closing in profit no matter what. So what happens? Price does exactly that. Pushes down, breaks and closes outside the partial area. And what I will say is I should have exited. Now I still finished with a good profit. A little bit of greed came over me. So when I seen it started making a way back to the upside after pushing all the way down, I said, you know what? I'm going to exit the minute price breaks this candle. And then let's see what happened next. Price got close and then pushed to the upside. So I kept the same rule. Minute price breaks this candle, I'm out. So then it produced a bullish candle. And I said, the minute it breaks this candle, I'm out. Produced another little doji. I said, the minute it breaks this candle, I'm out. And then it broke this candle. So I followed my rule and exited. So I exited around the same area I would have exited anyway. Luckily, again, that greed got me a little bit even on this second trade. But luckily, I was still disciplined enough to not pay for it as much as I did the first trade. But that's something that I learned today. Always go a time frame under the time frame you entered on. If you enter on the 2 minute, manage it on the 1 minute. If you enter on the 5 minute, manage it on the 2 minute. If you enter on the 10 minute, manage it on the 5 minute. Because those lower time frames are going to give you market structure that allows you to protect your trade. If I tried to manage this trade on the 2 minute, I wouldn't have been able to manage it correctly. Why? Because price just pushed and pushed and pushed. Now, lucky for me, the 2 minute closed up here, so I still would have been able to exit around the same area, luckily. But we seen on the first one where the 2 minute structure and 1 minute structure were completely different. So I should have been using the 1 minute structure, which would have got me a win, but instead I followed the 2 minute structure, even though I entered on the 2 minute, and it had me leave with a small loss. In this case, it would have came out a win either way. But the rule of thumb here is learn from your mistakes. I learned from my mistake. I made a business decision to say, hey, I know it's outside of my trading time, but I'm going to extend my session by a little bit just so I can implement what I learned. It's Friday. I feel very good about this setup. I've been waiting my entire session for it. I'm going to take this and see if I can get a win in the week off. And we took the move. We followed our rules. That's the big thing. You can't make mistakes. Learn from them, aka it's a difference between learning and understanding what you did. You can make a mistake, understand the mistake you made, but then the very next trade make the same mistake. That means you didn't learn. That means you understand what you're doing wrong, but you're not learning from it to implement something or put something in place to make sure you're not doing the wrong thing over and over again. Me, what I did in this situation is I actually learned. So I made a mistake on my first trade. I understood what I did wrong on my first trade. And then on my second trade, I showed that I had learned from it by implementing what I understood from the first trade that I did wrong and making sure I didn't do it wrong again. Because if you follow this trade, look what would have happened. Price would have broke below here and we would have been out for another loss. So that's the beauty of it. We have to follow our rules, our trading plan. Sometimes you can make executive decisions. It's your business at the end of the day. It's at the end of the day, your trading account is your business. So sometimes you make executive decisions that are against your typical rules. It shouldn't be to your trading plan or your process, but if you say, hey, like any other business, like I sell phones at Verizon. If Verizon says, hey, for Christmas, we know we're going to be busy, we typically don't stay open till 9 o'clock, but for Christmas, we're going to stay open till 9 o'clock. That's the type of executive decision I made with my business today. I said, hey, I typically close at 11, but we got no business, and all the business started coming in right at 11, right at the end of the shift. So you know what? I'm going to extend my hours just by 1 hour for this day today because I see some good business opportunities happening here. And today, it did pay off in my favor. Am I going to be extending every day? Hell no. Hell no. Most days I have a set schedule. So after I make this video, I go to the gym. After I go to the gym, I go to work. Today is just one of those days that I don't work today. So I'm not in super of a rush to where I had to rush off the charts, go to the gym, and then rush back to get ready for work. Like, I'm not in a rush today. So I was able to extend my hours. I was able to learn from my first mistake. And luckily for me, it paid off today. It paid off in my favor. And now this weekend, we will be back testing. We will be watching some of the other videos we put out so we can see ourselves back testing, see if the way we seen it then matches the way we're seeing it now. And we're going to show back up Monday. So I hope everybody else had a good trading week. I hope the news didn't mess anybody up too bad. But This was a pretty good week overall. So far, last week, which was the first week of the year, I finished profitable. This week we finished right at break even. Technically it would have been profitable, but the fees and stuff from my broker and stuff like that um, made me just slightly, like it's a very small amount unprofitable. So I just consider that break even because it wasn't even half of a loss that I finished negatives in. It was negative by like $10. So I consider that a break even week. So, and we made a lot of mistakes this week. If you go through my videos, and I know I'm gonna be going through the videos, I made a good amount of mistakes this week. Was able to come back, still be break even by the end of the week. So, I'm gonna learn from these, move on, come back next week, clean up those mistakes I made, and look to have another profitable week, man. So hopefully y'all have a good weekend. Don't spend too much time on the charts. Like I always say on Fridays, go hug a tree, go outside, go do something, man. Go do something other than these charts. They gonna be here on Monday live. They gonna be here, man. They ain't going nowhere. So y'all have a good weekend. I will catch y'all again on Monday.